What's up, friend? I'm Ryan Coral from Studio Sherpas, and this is the Grow Your Video Business podcast, the show created for videographers to build a better business, make a bigger impact, and enjoy the journey. I had the privilege on this episode of interviewing Kaitlyn Rossi from the team at Storyblocks, and also one of our awesome sponsors for this podcast. Some of the topics that we talk about in this episode include efficiency, how to stay organized, optimized, and sane with your video workflow. We also covered helpful software suggestions to make production life easier. And we also talk about an exciting new series that Storyblocks created to help bring creators together and show the many benefits to partnering together on projects. If you want to meet and network with other video business owners, make sure that you join our free Facebook group where you can pose questions, you can post work, you can get feedback on your stuff. And these are also people that you can do work with. If you're shooting out of state, if you need help with an edit, this community is here for you. So hop into Facebook and search Grow Your Video Business and you'll find us there. If you're not on Facebook, all you need to do is you could create a fake account and you don't have to make any friends outside of, the video world. You don't have to, friend your in-laws or anything like that, but you come be a part of Facebook just for the community. It's the water's nice. How do you say that? Put your foot in the water? Okay. All right. With that, let's hear from one of our sponsors, Core Group, and then we're going to jump into this episode. Here we go. If there was one thing that could have ended my business 17 years ago, it would be because of the numbers. I hate accounting, taxes, W-9s, W-2s, WD-40s, spreadsheets, all of that stuff. And I hate it mostly because I'm afraid of it. I'm just not great with numbers. If this sounds familiar, or if you're so new in your business that it's not even on your radar yet, you need Core Group. Core Group can help you create financial systems and tax strategies that you need so you can grow profitably, and they've been doing this for over 20 years. They become an extension of your team so that you can stay in your lane of expertise and then lean on them to help guide you along the way. For me, having a team of experts in my corner to help keep track of our books and just to make sure that we're budgeting for taxes appropriately, to have an actual strategy for our taxes and our accounting is priceless. And it allows me to sleep easier at night, knowing that I don't have to be an expert in that arena. If you want to avoid surprises in your video business, and you want experienced help building a plan for the future that you want, both professionally and personally, head over to studiosherpas.com/core for more information. And when you're ready to set up a free consult with them, make sure to mention Studio Sherpas for a special discount too. Got your back. Get more out of your accountant. Go to studiosherpas.com/core. What's up, friends? Hey, welcome to this episode of the podcast. My guest today is Ms. Kaitlyn Rossi, who is the senior video producer with Storyblocks. She is behind much of the Storyblocks branded content, including their new original series. Kaitlyn, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Nice to meet you, Ryan.
It's nice to meet you, too. It's super fun to have you on here. I've been working with your team to try to get somebody from your team on here, so I'm glad that it finally happened.
Yeah. We've been listening to the podcast. We're supporting you, so yeah. I'm really glad that we were able to participate in this way.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. And we're super grateful to have you as a sponsor. It's just been super fun all the way around. I'm curious. I don't know if is it a spoiler alert if we talk about the new, is the new original series out yet?
So the new original series, goes live on June 22nd. So I guess it depends when this will be published.
Yeah. Well, I was searching for it before we started and I'm like, I don't see where this is. So, okay. All right. So it's coming out. I was just going to say, I'm not sure who knows? Maybe it's not out. Whatever. By the time this is out, people will probably be able to see it. But can you tease us with it?
Yeah. So our new original series coming out is titled Partnered. It's a series that's focusing on creative collaboration and the benefits that, video creators from solo producers all the way up to, creative directors who work within teams can get when they have access to a tight, close partnership. We figured this past year has been difficult, especially for a lot of video producers who are kind of lacking that collaboration, working on their own from homes. Maybe some of them have lost their jobs. So we really wanted to try something out that could help them. So we found 5 creators, video professionals who are in our network. And we matched them up with a creative partner for them to complete a project together in 2 days. So each episode in the series will kind of follow that journey from the time that these creators meet their creative partner, the challenge that they want to work on together. And then you'll kind of see that all the way through to the end, and hear a lot about their experience and what that creative partnership kind of added to their work. So it's exciting. It's a different format for us, something that we've never tried before. Definitely a little bit reality TV style. But yeah, it's fun, and we're really excited to show this to everybody. And we think it's a theme that will resonate with a lot of creative types.
Oh man, I love it! What a good idea! Way to go!
Thank you.
What is like the makeup of the team or the teams that not the people that were actually doing the thing, but your team that was documenting and putting this together? Like, what did that look like? Did you have a couple of filmmakers, one filmmaker, a couple of editors?
Yeah. So to be honest, a lot of it is me.
Yeah.
We're a small in-house team. We have 2 video producers on staff. But we kind of split our workload. I work on our original series content. Our other producer, he focuses a lot on our creative content for campaigns, social media, marketing efforts. So really kind of the theme for this series sort of came out of my experience with, not always being completely supported by a large network in my job. So from the beginning, I worked with my team. I'm a part of the I'm part of the brand marketing team at Storyblocks. So I worked with my teammates there to kind of help develop this concept and really nail down what it is that we wanted to achieve. And from there, I kind of took the reins and, worked to script the series, do a majority of the casting, and then to actually execute the production, we did it all remotely. So our creative partner, who's based in Toronto, Canada, he would dial in with all of our guests on the series, and everyone did everything over Zoom. So a lot of production from our own homes, self-recording. Every single guest did an incredible job, just kind of not only doing this project, but then also like producing their own content as they were going. And then the editing has been primarily me. We did work with an external animator, and we have an in-house designer who kind of develops the branding for the series. Yeah. And then we have a team who's kind of dedicated to helping promote this across social. So yeah, it's a team effort, but a lot of it was kind of handled by me, which is cool. It's a lot of work. It's stressful, but it's fun.
That's awesome. Is there like behind the scenes, like were they able to capture their own behind the scenes, or how does that play out?
Yeah. So, some of the guests were kind of lucky enough to have like, a friend or a partner who was there to maybe help them with camera setup. But some of them did it all in their own vlog style. Just, cool. They'd hop on a Zoom call, they'd start editing, and they would set up their DSLR across from their screen, and just kind of capture themselves working. Which is why I said, they all did like a really incredible job, because again, the primary focus was them trying to complete this project with their partner. And then they also had to think about, how can I make sure this becomes an episode in a series as well? Yeah,
right. What last question here on this topic, but what is the big hope or the big takeaway that as people watch this, that you hope that they experience?
So I think the big takeaway from this series is that no matter what level you are in your career, everyone can benefit from creative partnership. And that doesn't always have to be, someone who's working alongside you day by day, every step of the way. Sometimes, you can pull someone in at one point in the project, and, they can maybe help with your editing, or kind of give you ideas for a different style. Other people can be really beneficial in your writing. So I guess the takeaway is, don't discount what other people can bring to your creative process and how they can help you enhance your work, even if you've been at it for 10, 12, 15 years. You can always learn something new, and people will always bring an additional perspective.
Oh man, I love that. I mean, it's really like that theme has been the driving factor for me starting Studio Sherpas 5 years ago. I love community. I love people. I love connecting people. And when we hosted our first in-person event a couple of years ago, to see all these people who had been listening to the podcast, had been buying some of the courses that we were putting out, and just like, active in the Facebook group, but to see them connect with each other and lean on each other. And, we would have a little session, and then we'd have lunch, and then people would be talking and hanging out in our studio at these round tables. I just can vividly picture the relationships that were being formed, and then people hiring each other for different projects. And, they've got, the beautiful thing about the community that we're creating is that people are all over the place. They're all over the world. And so, we've got guys and gals that are getting work outside of their state, and so they're able to tap the network and say hey, who's in this state? We need a filmmaker, we need an editor, whatever. And I just love there's a lot of synergy in that. So kudos to you guys for doing that and helping us see that, because I would say for me, when I started in video 17 years ago, as I was meeting people in this space, there's a lot of some of the people were super open-handed and wanted to, help and kind of bring me along under their wing and teach me and whatever. But then there was a certain segment that was afraid to do that. They saw me as competition, and they're like, I don't want to help you. I'm trying to put food on the table over here. But what I've learned, seen, experienced, and trying to do, as my own way of giving back, is to say that's not the way that we should be. If you really want to flourish as a business, but really as a human, it's to approach what we do open-handedly. And that saying, it's when you give that you receive. I think that's true. It's true on a personal level, but it's also true in our businesses. And when we're trying to help our clients, when we're serving our clients, that's beneficial for us. When we're trying to help and serve other quote unquote competition, we like to call them community or collaborators. It just comes back to serve us. And it might be in a job, we get a job because of that, or it might just be the satisfaction or just the pride that we might feel of wow, that was cool. I actually said something or did something for somebody else, and it helped them. It worked. And that's actually pretty fulfilling. Yeah.
And, you can't really think about, self-betterment or education as, fishing, as I'm going to go out here and I'm going to learn this thing from this one person or this one resource. It's you really have to stay open, and you have to be okay with, kind of getting feedback or getting inspiration from unexpected sources as well. There could be someone in your company or, on your small team who, let's say they're focused on the logistics side, but they could hear an idea and have something really kind of unique or interesting to bring to the table if you just open that up. And that's one thing that I'm learning a lot, is that I don't have to go to another producer, or I don't have to go to an editor to get help. Sometimes you just run an episode or a promotion by someone, and they say a tiny little comment hey, it would be really cool to see this here, and it elevates your work that much more. So never discount, someone because of their role or because you think they're not doing the same thing that you are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's really good. Unless it's your spouse. Just kidding.
Right.
But my wife will, and I remember for a long time when I didn't have any employees and I worked at home, I would always bring her in to look at projects. But then I at some point I'm like, man, I don't know if this is helpful or hurtful. Oh, it's good.
Yeah, it's true though. My husband, he writes, he's a communications advisor. So we help each other out on random things. He'll just send me something sometime and be like, hey, can you read this? And let me know if it's in English.
Right. Yeah. Right. Does this make sense? That's awesome. Yeah. What would you say is for you the most fulfilling, or one of the most fulfilling parts of the work that you get to do?
So I would say the most fulfilling part for me is getting that direct response from our audience. When someone sees your content, sees an episode, and is like, wow, I love this. I can't wait to see more. That is just perfect for me because it means that it's actually providing value to them.
Yeah.
And, you
Yeah.
know, when there's like
That's
a
good.
genuine response, that's really like what I want to do. It gets me up in the morning to create content that is actually providing value or education or inspiration to people. You know, otherwise it's it's just not that exciting to do.
Yeah.
So when I get the sense that like something I've created is really resonating with someone and they want more of that, that's probably the most fulfilling aspect of my job.
Yeah. Yeah. I would say that most all of us that do this work, that what you just said is one of the most, it's terrible. It stinks so bad when you do this awesome project for a client, they put it on their YouTube channel and it gets 12 views and like you go look at it later and you're like, 12 views, and I think 3 of those are from me. Like, what the heck? Like, people need to see this because it's good and it could help them. It's very disheartening.
Yeah. I mean, and even like, you know, beyond the view count, it's like, let's say like 20 people watch your content. If 18 of them are like floored by it and like it's really added something to them, like that means something to me. You know, one of the coolest things when we were looking at the metrics from our first series was you can kind of go in and see like, you know, if a certain user watched one episode, if they watched the whole thing. So like seeing that like there was a random person in Belgium who had watched 100% of every episode, I was like, wow, like this guy loved it. It did something for him. It meant something to him. And, you know, that's really cool.
Back when I started my video company, stock footage, it used to be the worst. It was terrible quality, super cheesy shots, and really small selection, and it was really expensive. That is not the case with Storyblocks. They offer affordable subscription plans to their enormous library of stock footage, and with their unlimited access plan, you get access to the whole library, including HD and 4K footage. They've got After Effects and Premiere Pro templates, music, images, sound effects, and more. Seriously, there is tons. There have been so many projects where our team just needed one extra shot. You know, maybe the day after the shoot, the client was like, hey, this would have been a great thing to get. And we're like, ah. Or in post-production, they're like, hey, you know what would be a really cool shot? We've saved our clients and ourselves a ton of money and headaches and heartaches. And we've saved a couple of projects that just needed that one special shot with our Storyblocks subscription. Head over to storyblocks.com/Studio Sherpas to help you create more video with their affordable subscriptions. Yeah, and funny enough, I think Belgium is one of the companies we have, or countries. We have a couple of a handful of countries where we've popped up in like the top 10 most listened to podcasts in the business marketing section. And like a couple of countries, I'm like, I don't know where that's at. I've never heard of that country. So yeah,
That's
they're
so
out
cool.
there. It's
Yeah.
pretty fun. I'm curious, you know, with there's a lot of moving parts. It sounds like in this series in particular, what kind of workflows have helped you be efficient? Because I know, you know, the whole my introduction to Storyblocks years ago. As a business owner, I want to be more efficient in the work that we do, right? Because if we're more efficient, then we're actually taking home more money, or we're freeing up some of our time, which you can't buy. Well, you can buy time. There are ways to do that by investing in gear, software, things that can help save you time. So with you know, as a producer, there are a lot of things that you have your hands on. Are there any things that stand out that you're like, oh man, this tool that we use, or the way that we you know, take our edits, or from the, you know, pre-production to delivery, these are some of the things that have helped us along the way be more efficient?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So when it comes to pre-production, you know, there's kind of a framework that I follow when developing a series. So this is something that I actually learned in a workshop that I took with this marketing genius, Jay Akundo. And it's kind of starts with like, hey, figure out who your audience is, and then start to examine what really gets them going, like what frustrates them, what things they want to learn more about, what they want to talk about. And you kind of start from that point to develop your concept. So that's the beginning. But then there's this framework for how you basically can kind of turn that into a concept for a show or a series, and then script from there. So in that in that part of the process, I'm really not using anything more than like Google Docs to kind of pull that together because it's a lot of writing. And then once we move into, the casting and figuring out all the logistics of shooting, I'm a big fan of Asana. I'm a very like task oriented person. And, as a producer, you really do need to keep on top of a million different things at once. So that is a software that I really love. I use their calendar functions. I use projects, tags. So I can kind of have a very quick eye on like when something is coming up, what part of the process it is, which project or series it's attached to. So Asana is a big one. My team loves Notion, which is another great kind of project management software that allows you to sort of keep hubs of content and information. So those are two that I really use in pre-production. And then when it comes to actually creating, it sounds cheesy, but I actually do use Storyblocks a lot when I'm getting into that like editing process.
She gets paid to say that, folks. I'm just kidding.
I mean, I try, as like an advocate of the product, I do try and incorporate it, but like you use music in every single video that you edit, at least one track, sometimes up to like 6. So I'm constantly looking for music on our own site that I can use. I use our graphics packages a lot. I'm not an animator. I am an editor, and I consider myself to be a story editor. So, when it comes time to add in transitions and text overlays, I rely very heavily on our graphics that we have on our site.
Yeah.
And then for kind of the post-production release phase, we use Frame.io as a big tool to kind of gather feedback from all the different people in our company. And then we use Wistia to publish, and they actually have a pretty cool feature in their product where you can create a channel and then embed that on your site. So all of the episodes live in one spot, and it's kind of neatly organized.
I love that. Yeah, those are all actually really good. We use Google Docs. Notion I have heard of. We don't use that. We use Basecamp to manage all of our projects. We use Storyblocks, we use Frame.io, and we use Wistia. We haven't used the creating channel function that they have, which is really cool. We just haven't needed to get into that. I was looking at, let's see, you're talking about casting. Oh, you know what would be cool? I don't know if this is something that you could be willing to do, and we can totally cut this from the conversation. But it might be really neat to have you do like a little overview video, like a Loom video or something, of your Asana workflow for this series. Like that just might be a fun, like as you guys roll the series out for nerds like, other video people that, as a producer, like seeing how other people work is always helpful because there might be like a little nugget that's like, oh man, that's cool. Especially for people who don't have a project management software or aren't using something like that to be able to see like, oh my gosh, like I could actually have some organized chaos here. That might be really cool.
Yeah, I mean, I'm super nerdy when it comes to organization, but I feel like I've got it down. I've got my system. It works. Yeah, I could do that.
That's awesome. Well, so this series, what was the previous series that you worked on?
So our first series is called Anatomy of a Story, and that's one that we launched in February of this year. And it was really kind of our first test to see like, hey, can we create episodic content? Yeah. And get people to care about it. So Anatomy of a Story is it's really focused on how to become a better storyteller. We focus particularly on the video medium, but really like a lot of the core principles that are covered in that series apply to any type of storytelling that you're doing, whether it be writing, photography. But yeah, a lot of it is very specific to video. So for that one, we got 5 storytellers. A lot of them are YouTube creators because they're just excellent at storytelling. Yeah. And we got them each to kind of focus on a core principle of storytelling and then break that down in one of the projects that they've done. So take like one of their most representative pieces of work and sort of talk about how they applied that core principle to that piece. So you're not only hearing like, oh, okay, well, a core principle of storytelling is a 3-act structure, but you're seeing like how exactly Colin and Samir, put that into practice for one of their most popular videos.
I love that. That's cool. What about struggles or frustrations? I mean, in the whole process, there are definitely areas that are harder than others. I'm curious if there is one area that stands out as like, oh man, like I'm consistently like in this area when we get to this part of the process, it's just tougher. And then what are some of the things that you do to, overcome some of those struggles?
Yeah. So I would say, like, for me personally, one of the tougher parts for me is writing. I feel like I can, I feel like I can verbalize, concepts a lot better than I can translate them into catchy scripts. So having a conversation with someone, I can talk about something, but then when it comes time for me to turn it into a 30-second voiceover, is tougher for me. So with that, I make sure I give myself a lot of time to do multiple drafts, and get a lot of feedback, particularly from the copywriter and messaging expert on our team. So that's one of them. Casting is a pretty difficult thing. And I would just say it's because I think the remote production has contributed to that, more so this year. It's a lot easier to get someone on set, sit them down in an interview chair. You control how everything's being captured, and all you have to focus on is getting them to talk about something in particular. When you're asking them to then control like the production elements on their side too, it just introduces a whole another level of organization and guidelines that you kind of need to figure out before you get to that interview. So, we're setting up like basically like a pager about how everything should look, how your microphone should sound. I'm sure you're aware of this doing podcasts. It's just tough to kind of give up that control, and you have to factor that into the casting decision, before you hire someone or bring someone onto a project. You have to think about like, do I feel confident that this person is going to be able to pull all that stuff off? So that's been a really difficult thing this year.
Oh man. Yeah, that's great. Well, this brings up like another question. As we realize and understand that it's important to, it's beneficial for your business to become a better partner, whether that's for your client or for other members of a production team, whether that's full-time employees, part-time employees, or contractors, or just people that you're connecting with. How, in your mind, like what are some of the best, not characteristics, because I think that people can work toward becoming better partners, better team players. What would you say, or how would you encourage people to be? How can they be a better partner to be able to work with others on projects like the ones that you're talking about?
Yeah, I would say, to be a better partner to someone, don't limit yourself to what you think that they want to hear. So kind of go into it with an open mind, and look for things and tell them honestly, like how you're perceiving certain aspects, because that could be the differentiator to them. So don't try and get into their mind and think like, how exactly do they want to hear this? Just kind of speak candidly. Another thing that you can do, I think, to be a good partner is to be willing to learn yourself. Don't go into a situation expecting that you're the more experienced one, that you're the expert, that they are trying to learn from you. It should really be a free exchange of knowledge. So I would say those are probably the two biggest things when you're trying to be a good partner to someone.
Yeah, I love that. That's really good. Well, Kaitlyn, this is super fun. Our time is almost out. Where can people find the new series, and where can they follow you online?
Yeah, so you can watch Partnered from our website, storyblocks.com/series/partnered, or just go to the storyblocks.com homepage and you'll see a link to watch the show there. We'll also be promoting it through our social channels, so you can follow us on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, at Storyblocks Co. is our handle for most of those, or just search for Storyblocks. We also are creating a ton of content just kind of every day that we're posting to our YouTube channel. And we're creating a lot of content around a recent initiative that we just got back into called Restock, which is all about diversifying stock footage.
Right.
It's kind of our mission to bring more diversity to the stock media industry that has been, kind of lacking, to be honest, in the past. So we have a lot of content that's going on around that as well. So yeah, I would say follow us and talk to us, comment and engage. We want to know what people want to hear from us, so we can kind of make content that's better framed for them. So just let us know. We're here to be your partner, I guess.
Yeah. No, that's great. That's super helpful. I love all of that, and we'll definitely be sharing with people the new series and all of that as well. So thank you again for being a partner with Studio Sherpas and the Grow Your Video Business podcast. This has been a treat to have you on. How would you like to leave us today?
Go out there and find someone to partner with, I guess. Look in unexpected places. It could be a friend, it could be a family member. Reach out to an influencer or a creator that you admire. Just go out there and try to work with someone and have it be a fun experience that you can learn from.
I love that. That's great. Awesome, Kaitlyn. Thank you so much for your time today, and appreciate you. Excited for what you guys got going on, and thanks for being on the show.
Yeah, thank you, Ryan.
Remember to check the show notes for a link to the behind-the-scenes walkthrough that Kaitlyn shares with us on how she managed the production for the Partner Series, as well as any other relevant links that we talked about in this episode. If you would like to support any of our sponsors of this show, you can go to studiosherpas.com/sponsors, where there's more information and a special nod to Storyblocks for being on our show today. So go check them out. You can go to storyblocks.com/studiosherpas, and that would be greatly appreciated by all of those here. Lastly, if you've ever struggled with getting a client's budget or figuring out, like, how the heck do I have an efficient call with a potential client and get off of that call with a clear idea of, is this somebody I want to work with? Is it not? And do they have the kind of budget that it's going to take to produce an excellent film based on what their goals are? I have a free gift for you, and this is a workshop on how we do that, how I've been doing that for a long time, and how 90-ish% of the time I actually get a client's budget. I get them to tell me, or a budget range. You can get access to this free workshop if you go to studiosherpas.com/budget. It's a 45-minute workshop or so, where I just give you lots and lots of value. So go there, check it out, studiosherpas.com/workshop. Thanks for being here. I hope to see you inside of the Grow Your Video Business Facebook group. Lots of fun stuff happening inside of there. And please don't hesitate to reach out to me if you need anything. I am found probably best on email, but I'm also in the Facebook group too. If you want to email me, it's ryan@studiosherpas.com. Next week, you're going to hear from another Studio Sherpa student, a guy who had his biggest year as a video studio in 2020. Yeah, that 2020, hitting over $1 million in revenue. His story is crazy and very inspiring, and also not out of reach, even if you're just getting started. You're not going to want to miss that episode. Until next time, onward, my friend. I'll see you soon.